of Oregon City to order for June 17th, 2002. And we have all members present. And yes, and he brought his own packet today. Oh, the wrong one? Oh, no. Well, here, I'll share with him. You can share here. All right. We have one set of minutes in here. I have these minutes of May 8th. They're not on the agenda, but I assume we need to approve these minutes. Were there any changes in the minutes as you received them? If not, can I?
Excuse me, the minutes are for Wednesday night's meeting. There are two urban renewal meetings this week. One is Monday night.
Oh, you don't want this approved till Wednesday night?
That's correct.
How come?
Because it wasn't on the agenda. It's not on the agenda for tonight.
You didn't get them? Oh, you didn't look at it? You mean you've already done tonight's minutes and we're going to approve on Wednesday?
No.
We're not that efficient.
Oh, okay. All right. Well then, first order of business is CIC letter regarding the Red Soils Trail. You had a letter. There's also, I see another one here on our desk. It appears to be from the Parks and Recreation. To go on the record here, it says, requesting that you fund the pathway connection between Hillendale Park and Red Soils Industrial Park Complex. During the design process for Phase 2 of Hillendale Park, it was our understanding from representations made at public meetings that this trail was included in the work plan for Hilltop Urban Renewal, etc. We urge you to reconsider this issue and appropriate funding for this key link between the park and the Red Soils. So you have two letters on the record. This item is open for discussion.
It was rejected from this agency going into the Budget Committee. The Budget Committee reheard it for, I think, a placeholder amount. I chaired that particular agency meeting, and it originally was for us, I believe, for $60,000 is my recollection. It was rejected at this meeting. It was moved at the Budget Committee to reconsider a placeholder amount of $10,000. That's more historical than it is anything else. So the Budget Committee did approve it at an amount of $10,000. And I think I'd like some clarification between those two amounts.
Ms. Gresham?
After I received lots of phone calls and from many citizens that were concerned, and so based on that, we left the $10,000 in the budget, and that was the budget that was approved at the last meeting. And then since then, we received a letter from the CIC and the PRAC.
But the question is, what's the difference between the original amount of $60,000 and the final amount of $10,000?
The $60,000 was what it really cost to build it, and it's a well-designed, wide, 10-foot wide path with landscaping, swales, and the $10,000 would be probably seed money. It was essentially a placeholder for seed money. The other thing is, since one of the future new members of the Urban Renewal Agency was felt that the business owners in the area up there would receive benefit from it, we thought maybe in another year or two it's possible basically just to leave it in as seed money, or there could be possibilities for other businesses contributing, and that was why it was left in at $10,000, but it doesn't cover construction of the project.
That answer it, Commissioner?
Yeah, it answers the question. I wonder if the two letters that we had in response were aware that we had put seed money in it at the Budget Committee meeting. And Tim shakes his head no. And I don't think, is there a representative from PRAC? Bill, are you representing PRAC at this meeting? We were not. I supported it. I think if somebody else wants to put it forward again, that's up to the folks here, I guess.
Wants to put forward the total 60 or the 10?
Yeah, I mean, generally a person who votes for the thing, if there's a change, is the typical mechanism is for a person that
Well,
that actually opposed the 60 to put it forward as a recommendation.
it was a different meeting, so I don't think that rule would apply. I'll rule that.
No, I'm talking about the 60. Or are you talking about the agency?
Yeah, this is a different meeting, so I don't think that rule would apply. But then, it has to be in the same meeting for motion for reconsideration to be followed. So anybody can put it forward now who wants to, if anyone wants to.
Well, at the very first meeting that we were trying to get a feel of what should be part of the projects for the budget, I was one of them that said that I didn't want this project to be one of the main reasons to keep the Hillendale Urban Renewal Agency open. And then when we had the budget meetings, you know, we talked about various loans because of some larger projects, and that if we're going to do that, we might as well put some seed money, and I agreed to that. I don't think that it's going to cost $60,000 to do this path to connect Hillendale to red soils. How much is it going to cost? I don't know for sure, and I would like to see maybe even some business donations. So I'm not inclined to go all the way up to $60,000, maybe $20,000, but that would be about where I would be looking at doing.
In this budget.
Mm-hmm.
In this budget, I said, without my microphone on.
In this budget.
Any other comments? Commissioner Holliday?
Well, although I see where Commissioner Benville's coming from, I think that we need to turn this around a little bit, because I think the discussion on number 3 is going to have some impact on number 2. So I guess
You could put it in, wouldn't make any difference. I think if the majority wants to do that, I think now's the time to put it in.
well, I would move to increase then the funding from $10,000 to $20,000 for the trail.
The assumption is the construction then, or the beginnings of it will start in this budget year. Does that make sense to you?
We could put in $20,000. I know that it'll cost more than that to construct the trail, so at that point then we'd need to look for other parties to chip in. And that we may or may not be able to, that takes a fair amount of work, but we can try to do that this year.
Commissioner, go ahead.
And to follow up on that, it's tough for me to have the discussions that we're having with the folks out on Glen Oak Road and other places, and then come back and say, well, the city's going to spend and provide this trail completely 100%. So I think if we're, if the business owners and those folks in that area think that it's important to have that, then there should be some contributions from those folks towards making this trail happen. Just like the LID out on Glen Oak Road is going to cost all of the folks that live out there a little bit of money to make that happen too.
Commissioner Neely?
Nancy, when you're talking about the trail, I presume there's 2 segments, one that goes into the park itself and one that's in the red soils area.
Right, the one that's in the park itself is fully funded. We have some state money and some SDCs that's funding that. This one would be from the end of Red Soils Court. You'd wander down to the corner and then go down into the park.
Right. So it's essentially along that property line.
Right. And it would, if we wanted to do some sort of an LID, I don't know if, we'd have to probably call it a transportation improvement. I'm not sure if that was the mechanism. Local improvement districts haven't been done for trails, and doing the beneficiaries might be kind of tricky, but I think we'd have to look at some other mechanism for coming up with match funding.
Did we have a motion? I forgot. We did. You did? Just a second?
And I'll second it
All right.
for discussion.
Okay.
Another question, Nancy, could you use SDCs?
I'd have to look into that, Commissioner Benville. I don't think that parks can use SDCs, and that trail is not in our capital improvement plan for transportation, so it's doubtful.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Commissioner, you had a thought a moment ago? I guess we can take a vote. You call the roll, please?
Aye.
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 Aye. That change in that, when we get to it, the budget item, I guess that answers the letters, requests. We're down to decision on number 3. Nancy? Have a preliminary for this?
That's correct, and I want to make sure everyone has their corrected report in front of them. I apologize for getting some of the numbers confused, and the corrected report has the numbers that were approved by the Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee at their May 20th meeting, and those are before you for approval by resolution by the Urban Renewal Agency itself.
The corrected one came with the salmon cover.
That's correct, yes.
We got that, all right. Any preliminary remarks about the budgets, other than there's some folks watching on television who probably don't know the amounts? We probably should have a summation of what's going on here.
Okay, we have a total of,
This attachment has a special levy in it, too.
I think, just-
Yeah,
What's-
folks, excuse me, Nancy, the folks who are watching, maybe seeing this the first time, they have to have patience because some of this can be quite complicated.
that's right. The recommended budget by the Budget Committee for the Hilltop Urban Renewal District is $10,046,500. $10,046,500. And what this covers, which would be a fairly new item for the Hilltop and the downtown, is to get into some short-term borrowing for both districts so that we can accelerate some construction and not be doing construction all on a cash flow basis. It's also to provide the short-term borrowing we need to meet urban renewal requirements. So the Hilltop one is based on revenues from Division of Taxes only. And a year ago, previous to a year ago, the Hilltop District collected both the Division of Taxes revenues and the special levy. And last year, in an effort to reduce the tax statements for Oregon City residents, the special levy was eliminated for Hilltop, and the Division of Taxes was only collected, and the same thing would go for this year. The downtown district, the recommended budget is $9,179,100. And in that district, both the Division of Taxes and the special levy was recommended for collection. And both of these cover essentially three years of debt and debt service so that we can move along some projects more quickly. The key projects in the Hilltop district are to complete the intersection improvements at Beaver Creek Road and Highway 213. That has a budget of $2.3 million. There's also a development incentive reserve of $1 million.
Could you explain what that means?
That came about in the potential for any fairly good tax-generating businesses coming to the Hilltop area, and if there would be some incentives that the agency might offer them to encourage them to develop here. The next item is Beaver Creek Road, the design, which would begin this year at $400,000. The next item is $2.1 million for the construction of Beaver Creek Road, and that's to change it from the existing 2 to 3 lane section to a 5-lane section between near Molalla Avenue at Burger King and then down to First Street. That's where the Highway 213 Beaver Creek Improvements Projects stops. And then we would revise the $10,000 for the Red Soils pedestrian bike trail into a $20,000 item. And indeed, that would increase the total that's shown in your report by $20,000. On the downtown, the projects,
Commissioner?
The amount that we've held in reserve for the intersection is where, is which item?
That's
It's-
Beaver Creek 213,
Right under projects, you see the 2,300,000.
capital projects.
Okay. Of course, it's not that much. I had understood we had committed 2,500,000.
I did
to the
too.
And we've
project.
spent some of that already on
Okay.
consulting fees,
Okay,
Okay,
because
that's-
that design is well underway.
Thank you.
that takes care of it. Okay. Now we're downtown.
Downtown, the key projects are funding for the Clackamas River Bank Stabilization Project at $660,000. Funding for Phase 1A construction at the Amtrak station of $1.1 million. And then we're holding out $100,000, budgeting for $100,000 of a potential match, should we be able to get some federal funding to do the rest of the station in years down the road. We've budgeted $100,000 for promenade improvements. This is where the railings are disintegrating up on the bluff, and that would be spent on that. We have $400,000 for Washington Street improvements between 12th and 15th. That would be improving the intersection at 12th to make it safer. It would be doing some realignment to the horizontal alignment on Washington Street to take the hump out. And it would be making improvements at the 15th Street and 14th Street signals so we could have a left turn lane there instead of the current configuration. The next item is $100,000 left on an urban renewal match for the Washington Street Bridge. And we have $200,000 budgeted for design of 7th Street storm and corridor improvements. $15,000 is our match for a TGM grant for the 99E enhancement plan, just for the planning part of that. And then $300,000 would be budgeted, this is a future match for some money that we've been awarded by Metro for the design of 99E enhancements. And then there's $1 million budgeted for a future 10% match on construction on a project on Highway 99E McLaughlin Boulevard. We budgeted $15,000 for the trees downtown and streetlights that continually need to be replaced. We've got $5,000 for miscellaneous. And I'm sure if I think of that for long enough, I'll recall what that was for. We've also budgeted $235,000 as a possible future grant match on the Ermitinger House improvements. And that summarizes those budget items.
Okay. As a matter of procedure, gentlemen, I would like to take the long one we're looking at first. If that's all right with you, the downtown budget. Commissioner?
I just have one correction and one question. Actually, it increases, the Hilltop increases by $10,000.
That's correct, thank you.
And what is TGM for the audience?
Transportation Growth Management.
Thank you.
I also wanted to mention, there are always a lot of people interested in this on the downtown budget. We've budgeted $100,000 for rehab grants and loans for downtown structures and streetscape. And another $200,000 is for acquiring the Stimson Parcel 2 property, which is where the Amtrak station would be located.
Commissioner Benville?
Under either administration, probably admin, is that where the economic developer is budgeted?
Right, the Economic Development Coordinator is included partly in the downtown and partly in the Hilltop administration line item.
There are other things in
That's correct, that would be part of the city manager's salary, part of my salary, part of David Wimmer's salary, our senior engineer's salary, and legal staff, and Spencer and Cupper, our consultant. Actually, they're on a separate line. Sorry.
I can't resist a little dig here. At the behest of a couple of commissioners here, this agency loaned some money to the skate park, and I don't see a amount due in this budget anywhere.
That was not brought up at the budget committee meetings.
Did it just evaporate? Are they not going to pay it back?
It was not discussed at the budget committee meetings. We probably need to bring that up to the Urban
Well-
Renewal Agency in the future, unless you wanted to bring it up right now.
Well, I just wonder where the money is if, It should be here either as a plus or a minus, or it should be in somebody's budget somewhere.
I would guess it'd be an estimated resource. I mean, we're asking for loan money to come back in.
So it should be in there. How much is it, 50,000?
I think it was 45, if I recall correctly.
Mr. Wimmer, do you
Five
remember the
grand here,
amount?
5 grand there.
50,000.
But there's been payback, and there has been
Oh,
some
there's one
payback.
payback, that's right, from your firm for 5,000, so I
And
don't know where
there's
that
also,
went.
and there were also contributions that were made, far more minor, but there were also contributions that were made before that, too.
But I think the mayor brings up a good
I do
point.
too.
though. I think it needs to be,
I agree.
there should be a placeholder.
I think
And
it
then-
needs to, there needs to be two things given there, the amount of the loan and actually the amount that is paid back into that loan.
Right.
And then at some future date, we need to take up the discussion as to whether we're going to continue to seek to have it repaid or whether we're going to forgive it.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Holliday?
I'm going to move the budget adoption resolution for Urban Renewal Agency Number 2, Downtown North End for 2002-2003, approved by the Budget Committee in the sum of $9,179,100.
Second.
Discussion, please?
Question,
Clarification, wouldn't that be adjusted based on that 50,000 placeholder?
Yes.
and the 10,000 additional. Oh, that's the other one. This is the other one, excuse me.
So-
Yeah.
But the placeholder should be in there, the 50,000, so the
That's
amount is,
correct. So both the total would go up to $9,229,100.
is correct.
I will amend my motion.
Right.
Does the second approve the
Yeah.
amendment?
Second approves the
Okay.
amendment.
Is there any discussion of the, well, I'll make my shot at what I feel about this. This is a lot of money to borrow, and up till this time, this agency has operated on a cash basis as much as possible. I, more than ever, anybody else here, want that train station built. The problem here is that when we declared publicly we wanted to build a train station, we were also told by those at the county, when we went down to take on the challenge, and the manager was there, that we were going to get $750,000 from the feds. And that has not come through. And so the taxpayers of Oregon City are having to assume an extra $750,000, which, do you have any information that is?
No, Mayor, members of the commission, no, I don't at this time. I mean, I know that there's still transportation funding. As you recall, I think I sent an email to all of you notifying you that there was an extra $4.6 billion available on an annual basis for the next 5 years for enhanced rail, which we will be a part of, but the problem is they haven't taken action to allocate any of the funding yet.
And do we have support from our congressional delegation for this project?
We have been in contact with them, and for support, I believe, I've had some discussions with Mr. Wyden's office, and also we have support from Amtrak for the funding of our project.
So theoretically, that money could still come down the pike.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the other, excuse me, I'm sorry. The other issue, yeah, down the track. It's a railroad job, I think. The other issue is that we were trying to get to a position of recovering the cost you have here for fixing the breach, perhaps with a land sale to the county. Have we made any progress on that?
The only progress we've made with Tri-City is they've assembled a list of all the projects it'll take to do their plant expansion and to implement part of our waterfront master plan for the Cove area. And they're trying to put together a package that they believe the county commissioners would feel comfortable with in trying to achieve the land, property transfer. And they haven't been able to tell us specifically what that's going to look like, but they are working on it.
Okay. I guess the point of that is that there's, what was that, 650?
That's correct.
660? And
660.
750, roughly, over $1 million bucks there that we potentially could have, and I don't know why we want to borrow it and start accepting the charges on that money when the odds are pretty well in our favor that we'll get some money for it. So that's my first objection to the budget. Secondly, as I've said ad nauseum, I know they don't want to hear it up here, that the charter of the city, that the workings of one of the commissioners here says that this city council commission shall not bond or borrow money without approval of the voters. The state mechanism for urban renewal allows this agency to borrow the money without a vote of the people. And I think at this level of borrowing, we're borrowing 7.5 million, am I right there? 7,548, I think that's the figure. I think that kind of money borrowed with the taxpayer holding the bill ought to go to a public vote. But I don't think I have any support for that here. This also, tell me the short term. You said short-term borrowing. What do you mean? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? What are you saying?
There are various scenarios, but right now we're looking at about a 3-year period.
Okay.
Finance director's working on different packages.
The caveat here is that there's no option to end urban renewal if you have debt. So being in debt means that it will continue for whatever period of time you have the debt. And I think the commissioners are well aware that the budget is not only lean, it's practically non-existent for items out of the general fund. We don't have a library director because we can't afford it. We don't have parks that we want to fix. We're not able to do the kind of things we should be doing as a city to serve our citizens. This urban renewal agency locks up some general fund money, and I think we at least owe the taxpayers a chance to vote on it. They ought to know what the general condition is. The assessed value of this city, in my estimation, is the point where it will not support a general fund and 2 urban renewal districts. If you take the totals of well, I guess I'd have to ask Dave for the current, but if you take the increase in value and multiply by the city's rate, you have nearly $600,000 that comes out of the general fund and goes into urban renewal. So gentlemen, when you pass this budget, you're making a judgment. You're saying that fixing Washington Street or doing the Bluff or any of these is more important than your library or more important than your parks, because there's not going to be any money to do both. That's my opinion. And therefore, I will vote against the budget. Not that I don't like the projects. I think they're all great projects for the city. But I just don't think we can afford to do them through this mechanism. If we want to do them, we ought to ask for the money in a straightforward up or down vote from the public. And that's my comment about that. Any other comments on it?
I'll just make one if I might. This is funding that is available to us. I realize that if we did away with the urban renewal agencies, there'd be some funding that would come back to the general fund. I believe for every dollar we'd have to the general fund, we'd probably lose 3 on the urban renewal districts. And that's not including the special levy, which I don't support anyway. But in any case, that is money that comes in. The fact is that not all that money would come in on the plus side, because we do have percentages of the city managers, our city engineer, public works director, our finance director, that are funded out of the urban renewal agency. So the net gain that you would see coming back to the city is not the total amount that would be coming back out of the agency.
I would like to point out respectfully, Commissioner, that all of the money comes from the taxpayer.
I understand.
Even though it might go out to the schools, it might go out to the county, and we might take part of it as it goes out, it all comes out of taxpayers' pocket. If the county doesn't get their, whatever it is, I've forgotten the figure now, $400,000 or whatever we take, well, more than that from the county, that means they have less for sheriff. That means they have less for their parks. So one way or the other, people lose when we take the money through this process without asking them for their permission. I'm sorry, didn't mean to be too short. Anything else? Commissioner Hewitt?
The mayor wishes to place a gloomy picture out there of us taking money away from the sheriff's department and from our general fund and those kinds of issues. And basically what we're looking at is we're looking at a very minute amount of money. Commissioner Neely was correct. $300,000 of the $600,000 savings would be already funds that we're paying our staff. So we're only going to gain $300,000. Gaining the $300,000 versus leveraging businesses coming into this city versus paying for it today rather than 10 years from now or 5 years from now to do the same thing, it's going to cost us more. We all know that. Next year it's going to cost us more to replace our battery in our car, and 5 years is going to cost us a lot more. We all know that. And that's what this urban renewal funding is for. It's leveraging businesses into our city. It's paying now for projects that are needed and necessary in our city, as this commission has decided, and paying for them up front, getting the money, get the project done, and pay them off. This should have been done years ago, but it wasn't. Nobody decided to do this. Well, they wanted to go on a cash and carry basis. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Though the city may need this, and it may need that, and it may need that, wait till we have the money to buy it. Let's wait 5 years or 10 years before we can purchase that product. And it goes up accordingly. And so the issue to me is that urban renewal is a necessary item for every jurisdiction. To do away with urban renewal, for whatever reason, is to say we don't want to do our projects up front, get them funded, get them at today's cost. We'd rather wait until we have the money to do the issues down the road. That doesn't make financial sense. If somebody's going to give you a heck of a good deal today to build what you want, or you just choose to build it 10 years down the road, you're going to build it today because you know in the long run it's cheaper. And so that's where I believe in urban renewal. We have argued this up here for a year and a half about urban renewal, how we should get rid of urban renewal, and how it's not benefiting the city one iota. And as we have looked at as a commission, the commission has generally believed that the long-term urban renewal aspects of this program works for the city and works for the citizens of this city. And that's my input on that.
For the most part, I think, Gary, you're well-spoken, and I could probably don't even want to elaborate any more than that, per se. I thought that was well done, Gary. Couple things, though, is that I do believe that there is an end to these urban renewal districts, and it's important that we do have projects, and we set up a reality check on our projects, and it's not something that just keeps going on and on and on. With the downtown urban renewal area, we have just touched the beginning of the projects that have to happen there, especially the waterfront park area. And like, for instance, that bank stabilization, if we can make a deal with the Tri-City Sewer, I mean, that money can still be used to improve the whole waterfront master plan in the district area and rejuvenate businesses and the livelihood of the city. So those just small little things that I would like to address more than just what Gary just said.
Anything else?
Mayor, one correction. Mr. Wimmer has just sent me a note saying that the $50,000 skate park loan was from Hilltop, not downtown.
Well,
So
whichever place.
disregard
Okay.
it for downtown. It would be the $9,179,100.
I just remind the commissioners that this is going to cost you $1,800,000 to borrow this money. That's more than makes up for what you describe as salaries and the other. At any rate, I've said my piece, and you've said yours. We need a vote.
Quick question, Nancy, on the year 2001 to 2002, under downtown, is the placeholder for skate park grant loan payback
Where?
on the 2001-2002 budget?
Maybe you
here,
want to
here,
ask
okay.
Mr. Wimmer. He's the one that provided me the
So
information.
I'm confused on which one it should be on, Hilltop or downtown. I didn't see it on the,
I didn't either.
Yeah, it's not on either.
But yeah,
In downtown.
that was in downtown.
But by the time that year was over, the money wasn't made there for that.
Okay. You clear, Commissioner? All right.
not really. Okay. Not really, because it's still part of the downtown budget, right? Even though we probably borrowed a loan from Hilltop,
Yeah.
it was based on the downtown budget,
Right.
right? So I don't know why it can't still be in the downtown budget.
Yeah.
Leave it as is, please. That's what the request is.
Downtown?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to clarify, so the motion as it's on the floor now is for 9,000,002 and change? Is that?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Call the roll.
Aye.
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 No. Now to the Hilltop. I present the same argument, but I would like to just do a little calculation for you to demonstrate how confused I am about this. I talked to Dave Wimmer about this to make sure I was sort of correct. We borrowed $2.8 million to build red soils, streets, infrastructure. That cost, it would have cost 65% more had we gone out the full length of the bonds. It would have been $4.5 million total cost when you included the bond servicing and the interest. It didn't go all that way because Dave was able to save money by shortening the time, but it cost probably $4,200,000 to do the red soils, okay? Then we spent more than $100,000 a year in management fees for the Hilltops, so you can add another million plus. So you're up over $5.5 million it costs, because it's really the only project we did up here for the cost of red soils. Now, the value of red soils right now is $20 million. I got that from Mr. Cosgrove before he left. That was before the downturn, so it's probably less than $20 million. $20 million, when you put the tax rate against it, generates $100,000 a year. I think you can do the math. It takes 55 years to get back the money you put into it. I wouldn't buy stock in that corporation for anything. The best project we've done is not really an economic development project. Now, it falls apart a little bit when you talk about how much did each individual building, when it was built, pay back SDCs. I didn't have the way to find that out. But somewhere in there's a lot of costs for a slight return. Now, the argument's made, well, it's jobs. I say, okay, but if somebody lives in Oregon City and he's paying his taxes, buying his groceries, buying his gasoline, and he works in Gresham, gets a job over in Oregon City, nothing changes for the city. He's still paying his taxes, still buying the groceries, still buying the gas. Now, it's convenient he doesn't have to go down the freeway, but it doesn't change the equation at all. When you talk about jobs, you're talking about a regional benefit. You're not talking about a benefit to the city. So even though there might be, I don't know, is there 1,100 jobs over there? Unless they were all unemployed and all owed their taxes, it really doesn't do us much good. So I'm hard-pressed to just, even if you took that as the best project and said that's the kind of economic development we ought to do, it doesn't pencil out. But other than that, the rest of these are all public works projects, and again, I say they should go out to the people. I think maybe they won't agree here, but I believe this funding was done purposely to get debt so that this agency could not be terminated. You understand, again, if you don't have debt, you can't operate the agency. You have to notify the assessor that you have no debt or you have excess dollars, and they close it. So they jumped in with a couple of motions to fund debt so they could keep this Hilltop agency open. I don't find that to be above board. I think that was, well, at any rate, I won't support this budget, and I would support closing the Hilltop.
Pose a question. I've heard some numbers thrown out here by the mayor. Are these numbers correct?
When you say the assessed value,
20 million.
it's 55 this year.
No, this is just the Hilltop, just the red soils, not the.
That's what Hilltop has grown since it was created.
No, but on the assessor's books, there's only $20 million of value in the properties that are red soils only. The whole 55 million includes Berry Hill and Fred Meyers and all the rest of it. I'm just talking about the red soils area is worth $20 million. So if you didn't have it, you'd only be $20 million less than the area. So that's what it is, $20 million. It only brings $100,000 a year. I wouldn't buy stock in that corporation at all, but that's just my opinion. Yes, sir.
And the argument ensues. Basically, I think, even if the mayor's argument is correct and there are no other supporting agencies that were derived out of the red soils district that is not being evaluated, if there's other companies that come in to support those companies, or they add more help to restaurateurs or whatever it is for the people that work over there that stop and get lunch or whatever, we have to think about the future, and that's what urban renewal is for. It's to leverage companies in here. And if you do away with the Hilltop area, you do away with your leverage source in this district. We have some vacant property in the Hilltop district that could be suitable for business. Wipe out urban renewal, we can't help those businesses come in. And I take a little bit of an exception that we quickly wanted to put debt in so we couldn't close the district. Again, you put debt in mostly to follow state law. You also pay for projects today. You don't pay for them 2 or 3 or 4 years when you finally get the money built up. So the issue is I don't think there's a tangible, you can always lie with statistics. I took a class in college, how to lie with
I
statistics.
take exception to that, sir.
I'm talking
That's
about a
interruption.
course I
Excuse me,
took.
out of order.
You are too.
And I can tell you statistics that would benefit my argument, and I could tell you statistics that would benefit the mayor's argument. It depends on what you're willing to look at to pose your argument. So you look at an argument and you say, okay, this is what I want to prove, and you go after it that way. To me, I'm looking at urban renewal and saying, yeah, okay, the Hilltop area generated a certain amount of money. The intangible out there is, what else did it generate up here in the Hilltop area? Did it generate other jobs? Do we know those? We don't have those kind of numbers. We don't do those kinds of studies. But to me, if you bring more people into an area, you've got more people on their lunch hour using the area around their business. And to me, that makes sense. So I think there's some intangibles that we're looking at and saying, yeah, well, this is just the Hilltop Red Soils area, and that's all it's done for us. And I think that's kind of a short-sighted view. And I think we have to look at urban renewal as a long-term view. And my argument stands.
Commissioner, could you tell me what properties are available in the Hilltop Agency for development and industrial purposes?
When you can tell me what businesses generated more income from the Hilltop Red Soils area, I will answer that question, sir.
There is no property left in the Hilltop District except the Younger property and the Jacoby property, which is on option to a big box, and that'll be the end of the property available in the Hilltop area. There is no other vacant land. The First Street extension is now sold except for one piece. That wasn't our property anyhow. There's no land available to develop buildings, industry, or whatever.
It sounds to me like you answered my question for me. Thank you.
No, my answer to my question, why go on, sir?
Well, 2 things. I think, first of all, the debt was not incurred to keep anybody from shutting down the agency. I think the debt was incurred that they had projects that they could not afford on a cash flow basis. If that was the intent to keep the agency from closing down, they would have created debt in the downtown urban renewal agency. I do not think that was the motivation. I was not on the commission when the debt was formed, but I doubt very much that was the motivation. We do have one piece of property still sell out to be bid on, depending on how we can handle that particular site. That's at the end of the cul-de-sac where we're talking about that particular pathway. I agree there's not much property other than Younger property. I do not know the status of the Walmart there. I don't know if they are planning to go ahead and build under the kinds of constraints we are. We do know they made a pre-app. We also know that they are continuing in their discussions with staff. But that's still one of these birds in the bush as far as I'm concerned, just like the potential federal money for the Amtrak station is a bird in the bush. It's not money that currently is available to us. It's not a project that we know is going to occur.
Okay, I'll offer 2 projects which we know, well, are pretty well. No, I guess they meet your definition, but the $2.3 million goes to Beaver Creek here. I don't know how much traffic the new county administrative building will generate, but they're going to have to pay SDCs in a large amount, and they've informally told me, and I think you have an email on your machine this evening from the exec down there stating that they intend to assuming a commission passes it, put all the roads up front. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Mayor, but let me clarify, that would be most likely, most of the improvements would be on Warner Milne Road and over there on Kane Road, the intersection there, not between Molalla and Beaver Creek.
I understand that, but Walmart would be between Molalla and 213,
Right.
undoubtedly, because that's the way the traffic would come to Walmart or up the two avenues. So
Right, and they
what I'm
would-
saying is, what the figures are, there appears to be money available in large amounts to do the Beaver Creek Road between those businesses and the others that will follow. And so I'm saying, why are we borrowing $2.3 million to do something we might be able to pay for with SDCs or other income?
Yeah, actually, having been through many, many land use applications lately since we haven't had a community development director, I've become much more familiar with exactions and what we can legally require development to do. And I looked at what we could possibly exact. We haven't received a traffic impact study yet from the Walmart group because they've just been in for a pre-app. But I used some other information from the ITE, et cetera, to get some feeling for, based on the square footage that they have, what percent trips they would be contributing to Beaver Creek Road. And for the PM peak, which is likely the condition would be using to make exactions because that's when the roads are the fullest, their contribution is about 18%. And that would be, that's making assumptions that every one of their trips uses Beaver Creek Road, which isn't true. They'd be using Molalla and Warner Milne going all different directions. So that would be the worst case. And what I'm concerned about is if we were able to exact a certain amount of money from them to build, say, a part of a lane to widen Beaver Creek to 5 lanes, that would be just part of a project. And the SDCs we have, we can use throughout the city, which to me is helpful because I look at other areas of the city that really need help in terms of urbanizing the roadway sections, such as Partlow Road, Central Point Road, Leland Road, Anchor Way. You could kind of go on and on. But what I think that has to be noted here is that the SDCs, if they're used on Beaver Creek Road, which really is a high priority in terms of a capital improvement plan, because right now it has 18,000 trips a day on it, it would receive high priority for the next project, even with system development charges. And what we'd end up doing is using all of our SDCs then for Beaver Creek Road. And if we use urban renewal money for Beaver Creek Road, we can use SDCs for other roads like Glen Oak Road, which Commissioner Holliday mentioned earlier, and for the rest of the roads I mentioned as well. So I just want to make that point that it does free up those SDCs to address needs throughout the rest of the community.
I see Commissioner Hewitt shaking his head because now the statistics are being used to prove the other side, which is just fine with me. Just a second. I did want to ask down here, what is the debt du jour? Is that the debt of the day, or what?
Mr. Wimmer, could you answer that question?
That's exactly what it is. It's part of the measure of 50 thing where when you have cash, and it's a quirk of the law. You have to borrow it for a day and then pay it back the next day, and then it sort of purifies it.
Okay, I remember now. Thank you for that.
2.7 million in cash that needs to be.
I understand. I got you now. I remember that discussion. Yes, Commissioner Benville.
The last couple of meetings, I've been kind of going on the fence in regards to this one, in regards to keeping the Hilltop Urban Renewal District open. And I'll tell you, there's one project here that's really the only reason why I would keep it on, and that is Beaver Creek Road. I think not only is it very a key part of this district and improving it, but of course that it would benefit the city as a whole. But of course you need to look at what it does for the district. So I'm questioning, first of all, if this loan, how long would it take to pay off this loan? With and without a special levy?
Bank of America is putting, well, first I met with Harvey Rogers and Sharon Capizzo from Bank of America last week, who does a lot of the urban renewal financings, and they're putting together 3 scenarios for possible debt. One would be like borrow 1.6 million for Hilltop and 3.4 for downtown, and that would just cover the cash we need for this year. And that would be a $5 million deal, and that's if you could. There's several rules. One, if you keep it below 5 million, you don't have to worry about arbitrage. And if we did that, we'd be looking at like a 3-year payback on the Hilltop and 4 years on downtown. Then that wouldn't give you enough money to do the downtown project, so next year we would do another $3 or $4 million, so that we wouldn't have to borrow it for all these years and pay the interest. Another scenario they're looking at is borrowing like 2.6 for Hilltop and 7.4 for downtown, and that gives you, as long as you're below $10 million, is what they call a bank qualified loan, you get a better rate. Then the other was just borrowing everything we need, which would be 3.6 for Hilltop and 7.4 for downtown, which would be 11, which would require like a 6-year payback on Hilltop and 8 on downtown. I think when we get the numbers in, it's going to look like doing like $5,000 or $5 million this year and $5 million next year. And then we don't have to borrow it for so soon or for so long and get it paid off sooner. Answer your question, sir?
Yes, thanks, Steve. So back to my whole item in regards to that, to me, this is about the only project that I even feel is even worth keeping this district open. I think this is one that really needs to, it has a time limit, be it now or be it 3 years or 4 years. I think that's, to me, is key. And if I knew that there was a guarantee, and I heard the word Walmart, so I might as well be the one that comments Walmart too. But I mean, that's assuming a lot that they would even come into the city. I think there's a lot of pros and cons in regards to even having a Walmart here. So that's a whole nother battle to be presented in a future meeting. And I don't know if I want to count that money as part of improving Beaver Creek. In regards to the county, I've heard comments about their admin building, and I don't know much of the details. I've heard a little bit from you, Mr. Bear, but it sounds like it's really not even the part of Beaver Creek that's in the dire need. So and unless I had some sort of commitment from them, from the county, that they could pay for it, then I would look at closing it. But I'm just having a hard time. I'm struggling with this one.
Commissioner Holliday. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm the only one that hasn't had a chance to talk about this yet. So there's a couple of things, probably one at least on each side of this particular argument. One, I think that the jobs factor is so important that it is not one to be denied or regionalized or anything else. I think it's extremely important that we grow living wage jobs in our community just for that sake, if nothing else, so that people have a place to work that is here in town. We started out as a mill town, a couple hundred years ago, and we've grown up that way, and we need to continue to have light industry that will provide jobs for dad and son and grandson and beyond, and I think that's important to the just to the cohesiveness of the community. On the other side, it's difficult for me to call Walmart a bird in the bush, because I've done some research over the last 6 or 8 weeks, and I have yet to find a single instance in which Walmart has begun the process that they have not finished the process and built a store. They tend to do their research completely, 100% thoroughly, and once they've made the commitment to be out in the public, they've finished what they've started. So I think it's, even in places where they've had huge amounts of resistance, they've still finished the store and opened. So it's, from purely a research standpoint, it's difficult for me to say that once we've gotten to this point, that we aren't likely to have a Walmart store in Oregon City at some time in the future. I could go both ways on this. I think Derek's right. I think we need to finish Beaver Creek Road. I don't know that it's worth keeping this particular urban renewal district open to do. I don't think that the amount of money that we're talking about for the Beaver Creek Road projects couldn't be found somewhere else down the line in other places, whether we're talking about transportation SDCs or some kind of state funding mechanism, a project through Metro. I think there are a number of places that we could find that money because we're not talking about, 40 million bucks. So I'm willing to listen to some more argument. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go on this yet.
Two things. If Walmart comes, that's great. I mean, that's great in terms of the road. Well, I mean, it may be great in terms of the road. That means we probably could close down the urban renewal district earlier. That would apply to perhaps a memorandum of understanding we could develop with the county in terms of their proportional impact on Beaver Creek Road. That may contribute to an earlier close down of the urban renewal district. I'm almost 100% in agreement in terms of that being the only new project on this list that I think we need to be funded. And I'll come back to the almost in a second. And so I think that could lead to early termination of those projects. When it comes to Metro funding, we have been very successful thanks to our staff in terms of securing it. We go into that, however, in tremendous competition with every other jurisdiction. We don't compete with any jurisdiction for our urban renewal agency money. We do compete when we go for the application of federal monies on the transportation dollars, and it's highly competitive. I think we've done relatively well in terms of the size of our jurisdiction within our county, but most of those federal dollars, the vast majority, go to Washington County, not Clackamas. In terms of the almost I was stating, it has to do with something I think came up and may come up in terms of what might happen to that piece of property at the end of the cul-de-sac. There seems to be some county interest in it, and what has been expressed, I think, is not a cash thing, it may be a trade thing. If that's true, and that's an area that we designated as a potential library site if we could find no other, we were looking at the potential of using the younger property for that before Walmart had come onto the scene. If that went away, we had no cash revenue from it, and if, in fact, the county expected us to buy a piece of the property in Red Soil and the Red Soils development for the library site, which I assume they're going to do, I don't think they're going to give it to us, then that money, I think, could potentially be used for buying a library site. Right now, we're holding a piece. And that was my almost, is that potential thing coming up.
The problem with that last part, Commissioner, is that the county probably won't get to developing that corner up there for a long time now, considering they're piecemealing it, and there's a building on the site. And so that goes to your question about how long is it going to stay open.
Yeah.
If you're going to think like that, then you're going to keep it open until you get it settled, which
but
could be a long
that
time.
might impact my attitude about trading out that Red Soils
Yes, I
property as well.
I agree with you. Anything else? If not, okay. Is this a certified public hearing? I just noticed we've got public hearing on here. Is this the traditional public hearing we have to have?
I think probably.
Yes.
Okay.
We've already voted on one. but-
Voted on one. I was going to say we missed the vote there. So I'll open the public hearing. If someone wishes to speak, they can come forward now and say their piece. Hearing none. Close the public hearing. Further discussion?
I want to clarify something here. The parcel of property that Commissioner Neely is talking about, is that the same parcel that's currently being advertised on a sign on Beaver Creek Road for sale?
That's it. Mhm.
So if we had somebody walk up to us today and say, I'll give you $650,000, according to the Red Soils deal, the Urban Renewal Agency could sell that property. Do each of those sales, are each of those sales approved by the Urban Renewal Agency prior?
Yeah, right here.
Yes.
I'm a bit confused why that's on. We agreed to take it off and because of the unavailability of the younger property for a site. I'm not sure why that's up for sale.
I know that
It's a resource.
Brian took down the signs on the property down by Clackamas Park, but I'm not sure, I don't recall the discussion on the Red Soils parcel of, he was
Yeah,
explicitly.
it was agreed by the
instructed to
Urban
take
Renewal
that down.
Agency that since the younger property had fallen by the wayside, we wanted to have a committed site that we had pulled that site off the cul-de-sac as a potential library.
I don't recall that. If,
That
if
is
that's, if that's the case, I'd like to see the meeting minutes before we, before we do that.
Well, I know the commissioner and I talked about it. I don't remember.
What
the-
came up at the Urban Renewal Agency meeting?
So, and although I appreciate Commissioner Neely's argument about trying to maintain some kind of a site for the library, when we look at the budget as a whole, it becomes more and more difficult to figure out where the money is going to come from, not only to buy the site, or if we own the site, where we're going to come up with the money to fund the actual building, but even coming into more question every month now is where the money is going to come from to operate a library. So, I think we need to take all of those kinds of things into consideration.
Any more discussion?
Well, just one. If you don't have a library, you'll have nothing to operate.
Commissioner Hewitt?
I think what Ms. Crushauer was alluding to is real important, and I think we don't need to kind of lose it in all the discussion, and that is that what we spend on the Beaver Creek project, we can spend elsewhere in our city, and to say that that isn't benefiting the citizens of Oregon City is a mistaken notion, because if you use all the SDCs that we have available, which is a limited SDC, systems development charges that all the businesses and homeowners pay to, when they build a new building in the city of Oregon City. And you take that big chunk of money and you spend it all on the Beaver Creek project, from the freeway into Malala. Then that money goes away for all the SDCs that could be spent on a road that isn't in an urban renewal district. The people, and if you've been down Glen Oak Road, there's a big telephone pole out there that you got to drive around. And they've got all the other end because the development up there are half-street improvements and stuff, and they travel very fast down through there, and they come to this very narrow road, and it needs to be improved. And there's other roads that I'm not particularly aware of at this meeting that need improvements long-term that benefit the people in that area, and they're in various areas of the city. So to me, the argument that Ms. Crushauer was making is a real valid argument that if you don't have enough SDCs collected to go out and do all these repairs, why wipe it all out for one road? To me, go fix that road. We've got urban renewal money to do it with, and I think Commissioner Benville agrees that it needs to be done. And take the SDCs and use them where they benefit a great deal of people in this city. And I don't know about the rest of the commissioners, but I've been getting complaints on roads. People call and they say, when are you going to do this? And it was really nice to see the Glen Oak Road project actually on paper recently, because people are complaining for 4 years over that road, or 5 or 6 years, because it's a dangerous road. So that argument, I think, doesn't need to leave the table. It needs to be out front and visible for everybody concerned.
Well, just a small response. I've been in town since 1991, and Leland Road has been a bummer all 11 to 12 years, and we haven't spent any SDC money on it yet, and I don't see any plans that I've seen that are going to fix Leland Road or any of the others she mentioned. And as for Glen Oak, it's only happening because the school district is there enforcing the issue. Otherwise, we wouldn't be fixing it. But at any rate, anything else, we'll go to the vote.
I need to make one more comment, and that has to do that, again, I feel that there has to be an end to the Hilltop Urban Renewal District. And based on what I hear from Mr. Wimmer, that there's like a 3 years, being a 3-year cap, and taking Commissioner Neely's comments that if you use the urban renewal as part of working with, say, a Walmart or whoever to help improve, accelerate the Beaver Creek project, there could be a good chance that we could close it earlier than 3 years. And Commissioner Holliday, you had commented in one of our meetings that that was one of the uses of urban renewal as a negotiating tool to improve different streets, including Walmart. So, and I thought that was a legitimate information that you gave us 2 meetings ago.
Anything else? My last comment is that no one here has spoken to the issue of why we have to require a vote on bonds or other financing by the city commission, but we're not requiring a vote on urban renewal. With that, could you, yeah, sure.
That?
You bet.
Well, the reason we don't do that, for those that haven't been to our urban renewal meetings, is because we're not mandated to by state law. People voted the state law in. The state law has been in effect for many, many years to date. And that state law does not require that we go out to a vote of the people for every urban renewal project we do in the urban. The commission is, and actually the commission is growing and bringing in citizens to the commission. I think by the end of this month, they'll be on board to have citizen input to the Urban Renewal Board. The reason they don't do it is because the state law doesn't mandate it, and there's a reason for that. Enough said.
You've used that argument before, and it goes right over my head. Because the state says we can do it doesn't mean you violate your own policies. Besides that, you're incorrect again. That this was not passed by the people. This was a backroom arrangement with 47 and 50 when Sizemore and friends were attempting to come up with a compromise. That's when the urban renewal regulations for what we're operating under now were buried deeply in Measure 47 and 50. The public didn't vote straight up or down on how urban renewal functions. Commissioner?
Well, I just want to make a clarifying statement because my name gets attached to this particular subject. So when our group put the proposition on the ballot to prevent the city commission from raising rates more than 3% a year, or from selling any kind of indebtedness from the city commission level, be it revenue bonds or otherwise, we were looking at the city commission and, to be honest, overlooked the Urban Renewal Agency. So, even though the city commission is restricted by the city charter and by the amendment to the charter that was passed in '94 or '96, I don't recall. It does not, and currently does not, restrict the Urban Renewal Agency to the same restriction. Now, we're having charter discussions now. If the Charter Review Committee chooses to insert that to cover the Urban Renewal Agency, I don't know that it would necessarily be a bad thing. I'm not one of those people who buys the argument that every time there's a tough decision to be made, that you send it out to the people. I think that they elect us to come up here and make decisions, and that's what we should do in these instances. And I think it's I can't think of the word to use, but I think it is it's too easy just to say, well, here, let's put it out to a vote of the people, because sometimes we know that the people are going to say no.
Now you said it.
Okay, I'll say it. I've never been afraid to say what I feel about a particular issue. And sometimes we know that there's stuff that we have to do. And if we have the financing mechanism to do it under the law, and it's legal, and we do it in an open public meeting, and if the people hate it that much, they're welcome to come up and put in a petition and get rid of us if that's what they choose to do, or whatever the case may be. We're not doing anything illegal or immoral here.
Call the roll.
We don't have a motion.
sorry.
I move to
I thought you
adopt the Hilltop Urban Renewal Agency budget at $10,056,500.
That's the extra 10, right?
I'll second it.
Now call the roll.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
No. Passes 3-2. Anything else? Nancy?
Just to remind you, we have another meeting at 6 o'clock on Wednesday before the city commission meeting.
And the purpose is to do these other items?
That's right. There's actually some other items on that agenda, one of them being the resolution to expand the agency.
We can't do those tonight.
No.
Meeting's adjourned.